name is Matthew Cook, and this is a call to action. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. That is the Fourth Amendment in our Bill of Rights. During the colonial era, the King of England looked at the American colonies as a financial investment. And so Britain passed numerous revenue collection bills aimed at generating as much money from the colonists as possible. So those who got desperate started smuggling in an underground black market to make the money they needed to live. Does that sound familiar? So the king created more laws to allow his agents to enter someone's property or home and forcibly interrogate any occupant to find out what sort of goods and licenses they were carrying, to find excuses for further taxes and levies. These searches and seizures were an egregious offense to the people of the colonies, and in 1761, the famous lawyer James Otis, who founding father John Adams called a master of the laws of nature and nations, referred to these legal regulations justifying these intrusions as the worst instrument of arbitrary power, the most destructive of liberty and the fundamental principles of law that ever was found in a law book. These legal violations of liberty became one of the major colonial grievances that led to the Revolutionary War. And so in our Bill of Rights, we have the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures. And yet today, when one investigates so many applications of the laws, this is exactly what we find. CNN calls it policing for profit.
A few years ago, after Lowenstein's husband passed away, Ferguson officials started issuing Lowenstein a stream of minor code violations around her home for the way her cars were parked in her driveway, for a downed tree knocked over in a storm. She tried to fight the citations, then this happened.
I was arrested when I went to court for failing to appear, which was ludicrous because I had been coming into court all the time.
So you appeared in court,
and then they
arrested you for failing to appear?
This isn't just Ferguson. This is everywhere. The National Motorists Association says local governments deliberately hide how many traffic tickets and vehicle infractions are actually levied, so they don't have to split their ticket revenue with the state. Not including parking tickets, they estimate anywhere between 25 and 50 million tickets are issued each year, generating revenue from $4 to over $7.5 billion. And that doesn't include court fees that can pile up if one doesn't get their paperwork just right. The Motorists Association says this has virtually nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with money. Meanwhile, there are many alternatives to administering safe streets besides traffic tickets. There could be community service requirements, for example. But instead of finding alternatives to this conflict of interest between public safety and a money grab, over the last decades, government has just been upping the ante. Today, there are an estimated 45,000 SWAT raids every year. A violent paramilitary invasion on 124 American homes every day. Originally created for hostage and barricade situations, now 80% of SWAT raids are used to search homes, usually for drugs, and disproportionately in communities of color.
A family's worst nightmare when a SWAT team storms their home.
They raided the wrong house.
Smoke and chaos like this.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Their little son, Boo Boo, seriously injured in the blast.
This should never have happened. What did my son do to them?
What went so horribly wrong?
He did his job so badly that he nearly killed a child. Have the tactics changed?
There's not going to be a real good answer to that one, is there?
Obviously, the situation in which we find ourselves today is far, far worse than the policing for profit those colonists were experiencing. And although many have called out for change, this culture of obedience to authority, convinced by this tough-on-crime crowd that these laws are worth defending, laws that our earliest patriots called the worst instruments of arbitrary power that were ever found in our law book. So how do we do it? How do we make our voices heard and restore the Fourth Amendment? It's incredibly dangerous, even fatal, to argue with a police officer. So my answer is in the courts of public opinion, with our votes and by banding together, by joining the organizations fighting for your freedom and getting involved locally. Only vote for representatives that believe in criminal justice reform. And please support and praise the brave police officers who use discretion and respect patience, who put their lives on the line to serve the public good and public safety over any other master. In the past 300 years, we have made a ton of progress. We started a democracy, ended slavery, segregation, women got the right to vote, we created a 5-day work week, and we legalized marriage for any couple who love one another, just to mention a few. So don't be discouraged. We may have taken a few steps back here and there, and have a long way to go to reach the promised land. But as the great American freedom fighter said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. We're all in this together. I hope you'll do your part. Have a safe and peaceful 4th of July.